Okay, so every week or two, I do a live stream on Sundays where I ask Marvel Future 5 players to send in their IGN or their code name for me to take a look at their account and give them general advice in regards to how they can improve and get better at the game rapidly. And we generally do this live with the help of 200 or 300 other players in the chat. That way, not only do you get my perspective, but you also get feedback from other players who've been playing the game for a very, very long time as well. So in case you don't play the game the way I do, there's 200 other people there who play the game 200 other ways, and maybe their advice would be better suited for you. However, what I've noticed over the years is that even if we're looking at a brand new player's account or a player that's been playing the game for 2 or 3 years, there's a couple mistakes that they're both making, and I want to actually address this in today's video because not everyone has 2 or 3 hours to go back and watch the rerun for the live stream. It's cool if you're there for it, and thank you guys so much for coming through, and all of you guys who watch the replay, I appreciate you so much. But not everyone has 2 or 3 hours to sit down and get these tips. So what I want to do is give you 5 tips that can help you get better. Now, if you are a veteran and you've been doing absolutely everything to get better at the game, these tips, you're already gonna know them. But again, I've seen this time and time again on the live streams, and if you're there for the live streams, you know we're always cracking jokes at people for doing these things, so you know I'm not lying. The first thing I want to talk about is ISO sets, okay? I see this so often, and to me, it's kind of common sense. However, when you learn something, it becomes common sense. If you don't know, then you don't know that you don't know. So what I'm talking about is I often see players with an ISO set on their character and it's not even active because they don't have the required ISOs for the set to be activated. So first things first, guys, when you are playing this game, there's only 3 ISO sets that actually matter for the majority of the content in the game. So when you come over here, guys, you see these red ISO sets, the offensive recommendations, these are the ones that you primarily want for PvE content. I'm talking World Boss, whether it's World Boss Ultimate or World Boss Legend, I'm talking Shadowland, I'm talking Squad Battle, I'm talking ABX, you name it, anything PvE related, these offensive ISO sets are the ones you want to roll for. Additionally, if you are trying to build a set for PvP, you want to go for something along the lines of binary power or drastic density. So this one right here or this one right here, because it gives you an HP shield. These are the 5 ISO sets that you want to equip to your characters. I cannot tell you how many times I've looked at players' accounts and they're running 3-piece ISO sets or 4-piece ISO sets. These were only relevant at the very beginning of the game. I'm talking 2015, maybe 2016. Nowadays, if you're not running an 8-piece ISO set, you are messing up because you're missing out on a ton of additional stats. Because once you get this ISO set fully awakened, you can see for yourself, it's giving me an extra 40% all attack. Plus the stats that I get natively, the all attack, the attack speed, the all defense, the crit rate, and the ignore defense. Now, of the 3 offensive ISO sets, the one you want is dependent on your cards, what you are missing. So, for example, Power of Angry Hulk you would only apply to your character if you need attack speed or more HP because it gives you more chaotic ISOs, and on these chaotic ISOs you can equip more HP to make your character tankier. Now, as you can see right here, 2 of the 3 chaotic ISOs I have on my character is giving me more HP, one of them is giving more defense. This is really good if a character is more geared towards PvP or if they have some type of healing in their kit, because the more HP you give them, the more they're going to heal. Now, if you don't need the attack speed and you don't care to get the extra HP or extra defense, it would be better off for you to try and get Overdrive, because Overdrive is actually going to give you critical rate and critical damage in place of the attack speed that you get from Power of Angry Hulk. However, what I've noticed is that majority of the new players, they need Hawk's Eye because Hawk's Eye is going to offer them additional cooldown, which a lot of players struggle to get early on. So it really is dependent on your cards and what you are lacking. If you're lacking cooldown on your cards, you want to go with Hawk's Eye. If you're lacking attack speed, you want to go with Power of Angry Hulk. If you're lacking in critical rate or critical damage, it's better to go with Overdrive. However, Overdrive is very hard to roll for. It's significantly harder to roll for it than Power of Angry Hulk or Hawk's Eye. You can simply take a look at the percent chance of getting Hawk's Eye and then take a look at the chance of rolling for Overdrive. I have no idea why they value Overdrive so highly, but it's significantly harder, as you can see. So in my opinion, these are the 5 ISO sets that you want to go for, and the top 3 here, the offensive recommendations, are the ones that you're going to primarily use for all PvE content, and majority of the PvP characters you want to use these as well, because for me, I personally believe that attack is king and attack is best for absolutely everything. However, there's a few characters like Gilgamesh and Luke Cage that can get away with running drastic density or binary power. And additionally, guys, whenever you roll for these ISO sets, you want to make sure that you actually equip the right ISOs. You want to match them according to what the set requirement is. So as you can see at the top there, we have the silver, we have the red, we have the blue, and it gives you a check mark for every correct ISO that you put in place. And then right after you put that in, it will tell you that set bonus has been activated or set bonus activated in green text. So if you are a new player, go through your roster and take a look at every single ISO that you currently have equipped on a character and see if the set bonus is activated, because if it's not, you're missing out on a ton of additional stats. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that you guys are not paying attention to the main page here and the type of attack that a character does. For example, Professor X is an energy-based character, so when you're giving him ISOs, you want to be giving him all attack or energy attacking ISOs. For example, right here on the silver ISO, you can see that I gave Professor X all attack. Your only option for the silver ISO is physical attack or all attack. Now, because I know that Professor X is not a physical based character, I am not going to give him this ISO right here. That would be silly because I would not be getting the extra 281 attack. Sure, the set would be activated, but I would be losing out on some attack stats. So you always want to pay attention to the type of attack that a character does. Same goes for these chaotic ISOs. Since Professor X is an energy attacking character, I want to either give him an energy attacking chaotic ISO or an all attack ISO. This is very important. Secondly, I want to talk about the type of urus and Odin's blessings to give to your characters, because this is also something that I see players doing. It is very easy to tell what type of attack your character does by simply looking at the main page. It will never list 2 types of attack. It will say either energy or physical. So right here from the jump, you will know that the character is an energy based character, so you want to give them energy attacking urus. If you need additional confirmation, you can take a look at the first gear slot, and the very first type of attack that is listed here is always going to be the correct type for that character. So you have 2 ways of confirming whether or not the character is energy or physical. The main page and this first gear slot will always be identical no matter which character you go to. For example, I go to Falcon. His main page here says physical attack, physical defense, energy defense, and HP. So if I go over to his first gear here, it will always say physical attack, and that will tell me that I should give him physical attack urus. Additionally, when you're giving your characters attack urus, whether it's physical or energy, you always want to give them 2 physical attack or 2 energy attack. It is dependent upon the type of character that they are. So in the case of Falcon, if you go to his gears here, you will notice that I have 2 physical attack on every single slot, because like I said previously, attack is king. Attack is the most important stat in the game because every game mode is on a timer. So if you don't have enough damage, you will run out of time and you will lose. The purpose of this whole game is to defeat enemies, so you want to give your characters as much attack as possible. I'm also going to tell you guys that you should never give your characters any kind of defensive urus. They're pretty much useless. If you want to make your character have a better shot of staying alive, do what I did. If you don't need to give them extra crit rate or crit damage, you can go ahead and you can give them HP. That is the best way to increase your character's survivability. So you want to go attack, and if you don't need the crit rate or crit damage, you want to fall back on the HP. In the case of Falcon, if you take a look at my stats here, my attack speed is maxed out, my crit damage, my ignore defense, my dodge, and my reduced cooldown duration are maxed out. My crit rate is not maxed out. However, Falcon on his 5th skill gives himself 35% critical rate for 10 seconds. The maximum amount of crit rate you can have at any point in time is 75%. So 52 plus 35, I'm well over that 75% cap, and that is why I decided that I was going to give him more HP to bump up his survivability. I don't need anything else. He's pretty much perfect as is. If you're going to give him Odin's Blessings, they should be physical Odin's Blessings, not anything else. Now, the final thing I want to go over in this video is a damage proc. If you're a very new player to Marvel Future Fight, whether it's my video or someone else's, you'll always hear us talking about a damage proc and lining up your damage proc and hitting it in a way to manipulate the amount of damage that you get out of your characters. And if you don't know what a damage proc is, chances are you're not using it correctly and you're missing out on a ton of damage. A damage proc can amplify your damage by up to 200% on a regular custom gear or a CTP. If you reforge it and get a brilliant, you can go up to 240% damage increase on a single skill. Now, if you do it correctly, there are certain characters in the game that can chain multiple skills together, like 2 or 3 skills, and you can manipulate the damage proc in a way where you can go from getting a 200% attack buff on one skill to multiplying that by 3 or 4 depending on the amount of skills that you can cancel. Certain skills in the game, all you need to do is initiate it, and then you can actually cancel out of it into another skill, and you will still get the full effect and the full damage from 2 skills instead of 1. Meaning, for somebody like Hawkeye, he has 3 skills that you can cancel and get the full amount of damage from them. So if I were to line them up correctly with a damage proc, I can get a 600% attack buff, technically speaking, even though the damage proc here says it will give me a 200% attack buff for 1 attack. You just have to be smart and know what you're doing. If you don't know what a damage proc is, it's the last line of text here that reads increase basic damage by 200% for 1 attack. So just for this example, we're going to be using Hawkeye, and I'm going to show you the difference in landing your damage proc, not landing your damage proc, and chaining multiple skills together. So check this out, guys. If you were just to come into this fight and you just went with your 5th skill and fired it off, this is what your damage would look like. This is you landing your damage proc on one of your most powerful skills. Now, if you were to chain these skills together in a way like this, 3, 5, and then 4, look at the difference in damage output. That's me simply just trying to manipulate the damage proc and putting it where I want to while getting the buffs to carry over from the 3rd and the damage from the 5th, and then landing the proc while the explosions are happening from the 5th and the slashes are happening from the 4. Now, we can even take this a step further by using the 3rd skill. Look at this. The 3rd skill, the 5th skill, the 4th skill, and then the tier 3. Stacking even more buffs and getting even more damage. I'm going to run that back again so you can see how much faster it gets if you actually do it consistently and accurately every single time. So every single character in the game has a specific rotation, and if you're not playing them optimally, you are missing out on a ton of damage every single time you use them. So if you're the kind of player that just spams your skills, you are definitely missing out on a lot of additional attacks. Well, attacks? Well, not, you're missing out on extra damage. Let's just say that. You're missing out on extra damage. Look at this. Look at that. You see how much faster we got? By simply playing the character properly, lining up the damage proc, knowing which skills can be cancelled while still getting all of the additional effects. Every character in the game has an optimal rotation and can be played with either a CTP of energy, rage, or destruction. I'm gonna do a video on the best CTP or the top 15 characters for every CTP or type of custom gear, so look out for that if you guys want to see more tips like these. I think that's all we're going to go over for today, because I don't want this video to run too long, because the whole purpose of this is to give you guys these 5 tips in a decent amount of time for the people who don't have 2-3 hours to watch the live stream. So hopefully these tips are useful. Please smash the like button so more people can see it, so that they can all get better and we can keep growing stronger as a Marvel Future Fight community. I'll catch you guys in the next one.